मिठाई जी सीख रहा. Good morning, pineapple. Looking very good, very nice. 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 Good morning, pineapple. Looking very good, very nice.
Ho, ho, ho. Merry Christmas. Good morning, pineapples. Looking very good and very nice. Welcome to the Wake Up America show. I'm your host, Austin Petersen. The Supreme Court of the United States looked at the federal bureaucracy yesterday. They looked at the unelected, the unaccountable, the permanent fourth branch of government that rules your life without permission. And Chief Justice John Roberts called it a dried husk. Well, good morning, rebels and dissidents and haters who are here to hear about something else. You'll have to wait. I don't know about you, but here in Missouri, when we see a dried husk, we think, Nebraska, M-I-Z, Z-O-U. But we call that kindling. Looks like the bonfire of the bureaucracy is about to be lit. It is Tuesday, December the 9th, 2025, and Leviathan is screaming. Yesterday, oral arguments began in Trump versus Slaughter. It's the most boring sounding case with the most explosive implications in 50 years. We're talking Chevron level of greatness. The question is simple. Can the president of the United States fire the people who work for him? Or do the bureaucrats own their jobs? Justice Sonia Sotomayor, she was in a panic. She told the Solicitor General that if Trump wins this case, it would destroy the structure of government. I always start you guys off with something to give you a little smile, right? Yes, Sonia, that is the point. We're going to dive deep into the oral arguments that have the New York Times crying dictator and the rest of us shouting freedom. I need to put the freedom from Braveheart clip in there for my audio things. The best I could get for you is Godzilla, Gojira. Gojira. So the administrative state is on trial, and for the first time in a century, the people might actually win. But that's not all. The streaming wars have gone nuclear. Netflix has put an $82 billion ring on it, trying to buy the Warner Brothers Discovery company. But Paramount, backed by the Larry Ellison company, just launched a hostile counterbid. And President Trump says that he's going to get involved. So here's the question for my free market friends. Do we want a woke monopoly controlling Batman and Harry Potter? Or do we want the president picking winners and losers in the entertainment industry? It's the rock and the hard place. And we're going to squeeze right between them this morning. And as long as we have Drew Van Runkle, M&M's 121, NGM 77, Nelson 65, and Cell Blocked, as well as a few haters like Colony Corpse, I think we're going to have a great show today. We've got 3 down votes before we even got started. That's okay. Maybe we'll turn those down votes. We'll turn those frowns upside down. Plus, we got a loaded B block the second hour this morning at 8 a.m. We're going to expose a national disgrace. So there's a hospital in North Carolina and it's fully funded. The money is there. The doctors are ready. It's currently a dirt field because the government said no. My good friend Camellia Peterson from Americans for Prosperity joins us to explain why you need a permission slip from your competitors just to save lives in this country. It's called Certificate of Need, and it needs to die. And then at 8:30, for years, we were told that the America First movement, quote, America First, had a dark, ugly fringe. We were told that the rise of Nick Fuentes and the Groyper Army was just natural populist anger. Well, hold on. Ein Minuten bitte. A new report from the Network Contagion Research Institute dropped yesterday, and they claim that 61% of the, quote, organic engagement wasn't coming from frustrated young men in Ohio. It was coming from bot farms in Pakistan, Indonesia, and Russia. Many of the accounts that were attacking me yesterday for bringing up this study, I was checking the locations, and it was saying things like North America, which is, to me, you're basically a Mexican Canadian. You're Mexican or you're Canadian, and I can't decide which is worse. And some, I assume, were good people. Colin Wright is going to be here on the show today, and that's going to be at 8:30 a.m. Central. It's 7:09 a.m. Central, so if you got some things to do, if you got some chores, and you want to hear that topic, that main topic, it's going to be at 8:30 a.m. Central time this morning on the Wake Up America show. Come back and join us a little bit later for that one. So put a pin on it, set a calendar invite to remind you, and get your laundry done, get your kids fed and ready for school, and or your last-minute Christmas shopping done at forlibertyshop.com. Today's the last day that packages can arrive in time for Christmas. We've got a massive show. So before we light the match, you guys know the rules, right? If we hit $100 raised in Rumble Rants or in purchases at forlibertyshop.com, that will unlock today's mini documentary. So this is the history lesson that schools forgot to teach you today. It's a really great one, and we've actually increased the quality of our mini documentaries today. I'm excited to see what you think. But the only way you get to see it is if we raise $100, either in purchases at the Grift Shop, at thegriftshop.com, or in Rumble Rants. So start with a donation of $1. That gets it going. And people like to see the tips in the tip jar, and other people will kick in. So if we hit $100 raised, then that unlocks that mini documentary. If we hit $150 raised for people who are here for the very first time, if we hit $150 Colony Corpse, then we all play a game show, and everybody gets to compete on the show at home. You get to play on your phone, and we're competing for real prizes. So, and it's a lot of fun. We play trivia, all different types of games on our mobile phones, and everybody gets to compete against each other on the show. It's a total blast, but it only unlocks if we raise $150. And then at $200, I sing a Christmas carol and embarrass myself. So I like to raise $199 each show. So grab your Founding Flavors coffee, put on your armor, and tell the bureaucrats to pack their boxes. I'm Austin Petersen. This is the Wake Up America show. We are live. Oh, wow. Somebody went to the shop already. Dang. That's good news. That means we'll probably unlock the bonus content. Keep it coming, guys. We're very grateful. All right. So I want you guys to just turn down all the noises in your house. I want you to zero in here, right? You're like a sniper looking down the scope, and you're focusing. You're pressing left bumper on your Xbox controller so you can zoom in and really get a nice shot of what's going on right here. Listen to this, right? This is the sound of 1,000 GS-15 bureaucrats in Washington, D.C. simultaneously pooping their pants. This is some wonderful news to start your day. It's the most wonderful news of the year. If you were watching the Supreme Court yesterday, and I know most of you weren't, because unlike the people who are protesting on the steps of the court, you actually have jobs. Congratulations. I know you're productive members of society. But if you were watching the Supreme Court yesterday, you witnessed the beginning of the end of what's called the fourth branch of government. We're talking about Trump versus Slaughter. We're talking about the case that finally asked the question, who runs this country? Is it the man you elected, or is it Rebecca Slaughter? Is it the woman you voted for, or is it a panel of independent experts who can never be fired? Right. Yesterday, the Supreme Court held oral arguments, and friends, the deep state is on life support. So let's look at the news from the last 24 hours. The headlines are screaming autocracy. The Washington Post is freaking out. Democracy dies in darkness, right? They're running headlines saying that the court is paving the way for a dictator. Justice Sonia Sotomayor was in there yesterday. She was practically hyperventilating, asking if the president is going to have unchecked power. Unchecked power. Unchecked power. Let me explain something to Sonia Sotomayor and the weeping pundits on MSNBC, the never Trump conservatives who are angry about this. The president of the United States is the most checked power in the world. He stands for election every 4 years. If we don't like him, we fire him. And he can only be in power for 8 years. Do you know who has unchecked power? The Federal Trade Commission, the NLRB. Right. Thank you. The NLRB, National Labor Relations Boards, right? The EPA, the middle managers who decide that your property is a wetland because your cat took a poop and a pee and it may look like a pond. It's a puddle. It may be a navigable water, the urine stream running down your property. Sorry, just wanted to go there. Here are the facts. President Trump fired Rebecca Slaughter from the FTC. He fired members of the Labor Relations Board. He looked at these people who were actively undermining his agenda, the agenda that you voted for, and he said, you're fired. And they said, you can't do that. They said, Mr. President, we are independent. Independent from what? Independent from the Constitution, independent from Article 2. See, back in 1935, there was a terrible Supreme Court decision called Humphrey's Executor. It's a boring name, but it destroyed this country. In 1935, the court said that Congress could create agencies where the president, the guy with the actual executive power, couldn't fire the people wielding that power unless they committed a crime or neglected their duty. It created a permanent class of rulers. It created the blob. It created the deep state, Leviathan, as we know it. But yesterday, God bless it, yesterday, even Chief Justice Roberts, who usually tries to split the baby so that nobody gets mad at him, right? Remember Obamacare? Right? They looked at the Solicitor General and they basically said, where is this in the Constitution? Right? Because it's not there. The Constitution says the executive power shall be vested in a president of the United States of America. It doesn't say the executive power shall be vested in a president and a bunch of commissions that he can't touch. Right? If the president can't fire his subordinates, he's not the president. He's a mascot. Right? And that is what the left wants. They want a mascot. They want you to go to the polls, cast your ballot, get your I voted sticker, and feel good about democracy. But then they want the real decisions to be made by people named Rebecca and Todd in the basement of the FTC who went to Yale and hate your guts. So this isn't about Donald Trump, right? Stop letting them make this about Trump. This is about you, right? When the FDA delays a life-saving drug for 10 years because of red tape, who do you blame? Right? You can't vote out the FDA commissioner's third deputy. When the FTC blocks a merger that would have lowered your prices, who do you call? You can't call the independent commission, right? Accountability is the kryptonite of the deep state. And yesterday, the Supreme Court signaled that they're about to bring a massive dose of kryptonite to Washington, D.C. So if Humphrey's executor falls, and it looks like it is going to fall, it means that the president can walk into any agency from the EPA to the Department of Education and say, get on board with the program the people voted for or pack your box. God bless it. Now, listen to the wailing. All right, listen to the New York Times. They're saying this will politicize the government. Oh, no. Science will be politicized. Expertise will be politicized, right? Everything. What are you? We've never seen anything like that before. Everything the government does is political. That's the point. Politics is how we decide things without shooting each other, right? When they say politicized, what they mean is democratized, right? They mean they are terrified that the will of the voters might actually penetrate the thick walls of the bureaucracy. They want, quote, neutral experts, right? But there's no such thing. There's no such thing as a neutral expert. There are only experts who agree with them and then the people that they consider dangerous, right? We saw this during COVID. We saw this with the censorship regime. We saw this with the bot farms, right, which we're going to talk about later with Colin Wright. It's all connected. The bots, the censors, the bureaucrats, they are all mechanisms meant to bypass the American voter from being able to express that popular will into policies of the law of the country that they are governed under. And it's time to put it all to an end. It's all a Psy-Op. These are all safeguards for the elite, for the foreign operations, to ensure that no matter who wins the election, the plan remains the same, right? But the firewall is finally burning down, right? Yesterday's oral arguments were a roast, man. The liberal justices, Kagan and Jackson, they were throwing everything at the wall, baby. Chaos, mayhem. The president will be a king. They were dogs and cats living together. Mass hysteria. I'm serious. It was that level of panic. Justice Jackson, if the president fires a bad employee, he isn't a king. He's a boss. He's a boss, and he's a boss who answers to us. If the president fires the head of the FTC and the economy tanks, we vote him out. Think about that. Can you imagine the president firing the head of the FTC, the Federal Trade Commission, and the economy would suddenly tank? I don't see it. Right, but this is accountability. So that is the actual system that the founders designed. What we have now is a system where the economy tanks, the border collapses, the prices skyrocket, and the people responsible get a raise and a pension because they are civil service protected. So I say, let them scream. Let the bureaucrats panic. Let them wail and gnash their teeth. Let the demons be exorcised. And let the resistance, quote unquote, glue themselves to the Supreme Court steps, because the Constitution is making a comeback. The fourth branch is on the chopping block. And for the first time in 90 years, we might actually get a government that is of the people, by the people, and most importantly, removable by the people. This is the death of the deep state in real time, folks, and it is beautiful. Stick around today. We've got Colin Wright coming up to expose the fake humans on the internet. Camellia is going to tell us why the government doesn't want you to build hospitals. And coming up next, we're talking about Netflix. I'm Austin Petersen. This is the Wake Up America show, and we are just getting started. Real quick reminder, we're well on our way to unlocking the bonus content today. I'm glad and thankful to have people like Colony Corpse here, like Dad Bod Baboon and Amy J. Easley. I hope that people like Colony Corpse will come back. I hope they'll click the follow button. I hope that they'll change their mind and click the like button instead of the downvote button on this Rumble stream, and that they'll support a small family-owned business, people who are trying to make it here in America, people who may not have the tens of thousands of views that come from the Pakistani foreign bots, but everybody who watches my stream is a confirmed American, except for Paul Southcott. But one day we may take the Isle of Alderney for all we know. But I hope that you'll click the like button, and I hope that you'll click the follow button and come back and join us. This show is live Mondays through Fridays, 7 to 9 a.m. Central Time. That's 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 a.m. Central. The Wake Up America show is powered by the support of people like yourself. When you click that like and follow button, it's a totally free way to support the show. If you believe in America and if you believe in the ideas of liberty, then I highly recommend that you order our children's books for the little ones in your life. We've got Calvin the Coolest President and Grover the Note President. That's 2 out of 3 of our children's books we've written. The third, Milei the Afuera President. You could say we've written 4 because we have also a Spanish language version of the Milei Afuera President books. You can get those on Amazon. But the best way to support the Wake Up America show is to head over to forlibertyshop.com and try our delicious coffee. Today's the last day, guys, to get guaranteed Christmas arrival for your apparel and your coffee. After this, it might arrive, but I can't guarantee it. Today, if you buy, it will show up. So my recommendation to you is to be one of the people popping up on this map. Wow, what the heck? Lots of dots on this map. Let's refresh it. There's no way that many people are visiting forlibertyshop.com. Let's take a, whoa, 22 visitors. What's going on? What's going on, people? Where are they from? Dallas, Texas, Houston, California, Los Angeles? Confirmed Americans. There you go. Drew Van Runkle, he's a sovereign citizen from Vivekistan. Almost. When you go to forlibertyshop.com, your dot pops up on this map. We see you when you're sleeping. We know when you're awake. No, we're just kidding. We're not creepy like that. Head over to forlibertyshop.com and try our delicious Founding Flavors coffee. When you click on the coffee button and you head over to shop now, you can see all the delicious coffees that we have available, and you can see our independently verified reviews, 4.8 stars, 4.9, 4.8. They frickin' love this coffee. But scroll down to the bottom, because my recommendation to you, if you're like, I don't know which one to try and I don't know which one I like, I put together a nice little bundle for you guys, AP for Liberty's favorite coffees. You can try this at a discount. Our top 3, Jeffersonian Java, Electric Elixir, and Painkiller. They are, to me, the most delicious, but everybody has a favorite. Some people like Revere's Rebel Roast, for example. Click which one you like, ground or whole bean, and then add it to cart. You get a nice little discount. You get to try my top 3, and they'll be there by Christmas. I promise. But if it's by tomorrow, I cannot promise. Thank you, St. Selma, for doing your part, as well as Drew Van Runkle. We are well on the way to unlocking that bonus content. $100 will unlock the first phase. $150 will unlock phase 2. And phase 3, well, I don't think we're going to do any phase 3, so I don't have to worry about singing today. So if you're just joining us, if you're just tuning into the Wake Up America show, you picked the right time. We're talking about the biggest story in the American economy right now. And it's not the price of eggs, but that's, even though I think that's still too high. Thanks for the Federal Reserve, right? I'm talking about the war for your eyeballs, right? On Friday, we thought that this was over. Netflix announced that they were buying Warner Brothers Discovery for $82.7 billion. The press releases were written. The New York Times was celebrating the consolidation of the streaming era. All the tech bros in Silicon Valley were popping champagne because they had finally conquered the last castle of old Hollywood. But yesterday, Monday morning, the castle fired back. So Paramount Skydance, led by David Ellison — I said Larry Ellison earlier, I meant David Ellison — bankrolled by his father, Larry Ellison, dropped a hostile bid on the table that shook the walls of Hollywood and all the way to Washington, D.C. They offered $108.4 billion. They didn't just beat the Netflix offer. They humiliated it. They put a $25 billion premium on the table just to say, you're not taking this company. Now, you might be driving to work thinking, Austin, why do I care? Who cares if the logo on my screen is a red N or a mountain with stars or the Wake Up America show with Austin Petersen? Who cares about that, right? You should care, though, because this isn't just a business deal. This is actually a war for the soul of American culture, which is our top export. Let's look at the combatants. So in the blue corner, you have Netflix, right? Netflix is like the Death Star, right? It's the ultimate product of the Silicon Valley mindset. So to Netflix, movies aren't art. They aren't culture. They're content. They're just data points, right? Netflix is the company that gave the Obamas a multi-year production deal to lecture you about why America is inherently evil, right? Netflix is the company that defended Cuties. Remember that? The movie that sexualized children, right? They went to the mat for that film. They called it art. Netflix is the company that invented the diversity algorithm that force feeds identity politics into historical dramas where it makes zero sense. They are the reason why there's a meme every time there's some major character story. The Charlie Kirk story from Netflix, and it's Charlie Kirk is black. They'd never do a series that starred this guy, I'll tell you what.
Hey, Kelsey, can you tell us what you think about Trump's job performance so far in his first term or second term?
I think he's great.
What issues are you most concerned about that he's doing well on?
Well, I think the economy's actually going really well.
I think so too.
And we'll see what happens in the next year or so. I mean, what I always love is when the Democrats start talking about affordability, you always know they're going to charge you twice as much and spend 3 times as much. So,
think any of the house in Malibu will ever get built again?
No, see, Kelsey Grammer was actually wrong about that because he knows the truth is what Kelsey Grammer is concealing is the Democrats, when they're talking about affordability, they're going to charge you 10 times as much and they're going to spend 100 times as much. Oh, Kelsey, don't mislead us. So if Netflix buys Warner Brothers, they get everything. They get Harry Potter, they get Lord of the Rings, they get the entire DC universe, Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman. And what do you think they're going to do with it? Right? Do you think they're going to respect the legacy of Superman? Do you think that they're going to respect truth, justice in the American way? Or do you think that they're going to try to deconstruct him? They're going to turn him into like a climate activist, right? Put a woman in it and make it fake and gay, right? Austin, get your pop culture references right. We know the answer. We know what they're going to do. They are the Borg, right? They assimilate. They don't think outside the box. They only have the message. BB for Liberty says, we'll have a gay black Superman in 2 years. Exactly. So that's the blue corner. Now let's look at the red corner. This is the Ellisons, right? Larry Ellison is the founder of Oracle. He's one of the richest men in the world. And unlike the rest of the tech oligarchs who spend their money trying to block sunlight like Bill Gates or stop climate change, right? Larry Ellison is a patriot. He's a major donor to conservative causes, and he's a friend of Donald Trump. And his son, David Ellison, runs a company called Skydance. Do you know what Skydance produced? They produced Top Gun Maverick. And think about that for a second. So Top Gun Maverick, I'm pretty sure that was the only movie in the last 5 years that actually united this country. No politics, no lectures, just American excellence. Fast planes, men being men, right? The critics hated it until they realized that it made $1 billion. And David Ellison proved you don't have to hate your audience to make money. He proved that go woke, go broke is a law of physics. And the opposite, go American, get paid, is also true. So this merger, this Netflix merger, it's not about stocks. It's about choice, right? Do you want Batman to be controlled by the people who made Cuties, or do you want Batman to be controlled by the people who made Top Gun? And here's where it's spicy. So here's where the red meat in this story really comes in. So yesterday, President Trump was at the Kennedy Center. He's in a tux. He's looking sharp. The reporter screamed a question about the Netflix deal. And he said, I hear Larry is getting involved. Larry's a winner. We like winners. Netflix, they have a lot of power, maybe too much. We're going to look at it very strongly. We're going to look at it very strongly. So translation is that the DOJ is warming up the bullpen on this one. So for decades, Republicans have been the party of laissez-faire. We said, let the market decide. If the company wants to be a monopoly, well, that's just capitalism. But we realized something a little too late. You know, it is a fact when the monopoly hates you and hates your country, allowing them to consolidate without even any attempt to stop them, that's suicide. Teddy Roosevelt understood this. He was a Republican, and he didn't bust trust because he hated money. He busted trust because he understood when a corporation becomes more powerful than the government, the people lose their voice, right? Netflix acquiring Warner Brothers would create a streaming entity that controls 45% of all eyeballs in America. They could decide to vault classic movies if they don't fit the 2025 DEI standards. Like imagine Gone with the Wind, gone, right? Dirty Harry, deleted. Blazing Saddles, right? Erased from history because it hurts the feelings of a human resource manager in San Francisco. Because if Netflix owns the library, they also own the memory hole. But if the Ellisons, not the elephants, but if the Ellisons take it, right? If Skydance takes it, then we have a chance at preservation. Larry Ellison isn't woke. He doesn't care about your ESG score. He just cares about the bottom line. And he knows that half the country, the half that voted for Trump, the half that buys the tickets, the half that watches the Super Bowl, they have been ignored by Hollywood for 20 years. So this is a market inefficiency. You have 150 million Americans begging for content that doesn't assault them, and Hollywood has refused to supply it because they are in a cult. The Ellisons look at that and they say, smells like an opportunity. And there's another juicy little nugget in this that no one is talking about. Turn up the volume on your mobile devices. Turn up your televisions if you're watching us over there on Rumble. Listen to this. Here's the juicy little nugget in this. CNN. So Warner Brothers owns CNN. If Netflix buys Warner Brothers, CNN probably just stays the same, right? A zombie network playing in airport lounges, spewing globalist talking points until the end of time. But what if Larry Ellison buys CNN? Imagine the panic happening in Hudson Yards right now. Think about how they're feeling this morning. Can you just picture Anderson Cooper's face this morning, right? Larry Ellison could clean house. He could fire the activists posing as journalists. He could turn CNN back into a hard news network, or better yet, shut it down completely and sell its scraps for parts. Colony Corpse seems to be warming up to us a bit in the comments. He says Netflix is continuing the vision laid out by its co-founder and former CEO, Mark Bernays Randolph, great-grandnephew of Edward Bernays, nephew of Freud, father of American propaganda. Interesting. Love to hear more about that. So this is a rumor. It's unconfirmed, but it's out there, is that if Skydance wins this bid, they might spin off CNN. And do you know who's rumored to be interested in buying it if this merger goes through? If Larry and David Ellison take over this company and they spin off CNN, guess who's interested in buying CNN? It's so good. Elon Musk, baby. Yeah, baby. Good, baby. Very good. Oh my God, I love it so much. There's reasons to live, reasons to be happy. Plus, Santa Claus is coming to town. Their tears sustain me, says Entropy Nomad. Yes, it's just a rumor. It's unconfirmed, but I mean, can you imagine CNN being bought out by Elon Musk? It goes from fake and gay to based and red-pilled, and we all benefit. Welcome to the Wake Up America show. If you've just tuned into the show now for the first time, I love seeing 102 people joining us live. When you think about how many people that is, 20, how many people? 100 people wouldn't fit in this shoe closet that I'm doing this show from right now. I'll tell you that. We'd all be like... I love to see it. Thank you all for your financial contributions as well. Entropy Nomad. I'm very grateful. We're well on the way to unlocking phase 1 of the bonus content. Today's bonus content has gotten a little upgrade, and I hope that you will enjoy it if we unlock it. So we're almost there. What is it, like $32, $33 to go? My recommendation, head to forlibertyshop.com, buy a little bit of coffee, and that will take us right over the top. We might even hit the $150 bonus level, which would allow us to play the game show and win real prizes, and everybody gets to have a blast. Elon Musk showed the world that buying up modern social media companies is an effective way of having power over the narrative. Absolutely true, Colony Corpse, who hates my guts. Can you imagine, though, a world where Netflix, like if this deal is blocked, the Ellisons run Hollywood and CNN is run by Elon Musk? The left would lose their stinking minds. They would go insane. They would have to be committed to the institutions that we are going to definitely reopen and put them in. This is why the market reacted the way that it did. This is why the Netflix stock plummeted 12%. Wall Street knows that the wind has changed. They know that the era of ESG investing is over. They know that the Trump administration isn't going to rubber stamp these mega mergers just because the CEOs donated to the DNC. In fact, it's the opposite now. If you donated to the DNC, your merger is getting put under a microscope. Is it political retribution? Maybe. Is it weaponizing the government? Maybe. Do I care? Absolutely not. I'm a bad libertarian, I guess. I don't want my culture to be completely taken over by people who hate me. I'll stand in their way. What about you? I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. You can text the show at 573-319-1586. That's 573-319-1586. You can see the phone number on your screen underneath that picture box of me right there. Joni Rinkin says she wants to save Looney Tunes and then put them in an asylum. Thank you, Joni. Well on the way to unlock that bonus content. Like I said, you can send us a text, 573-319-1586. Colony Corp says, I took off the dislike. Messing with another man's money isn't worth the thrill of clicking a dislike button. You're a good man, Colony. You're a good man. We are a real family-owned business over here. We are the For Liberty Network. We are the based, very few of the based and red pill libertarians. There are some of us left. Most of us died off in the Clone Wars of 2020. AP becoming more based and red-pilled every day. Rubs hands. Good. Good to see you here, Arvold. Arvold started out as a hater as well, and now here he is. He went last week and he bought something from forlibertyshop.com, I think for the first time. Thanks, bud. Where in the world is Carmen Sandiego? If you head to forlibertyshop.com, you'll see that reminder, guys. The bonus content can be unlocked from any of the purchases that you make over at forlibertyshop.com, but today's the last day. I can't say it enough, and I hope I don't scare some of you off by reminding you, but I don't want anybody to be disappointed. I want everybody to know that if you buy today, it's the last day to make sure that your order will arrive by Christmas. After today, I can't promise that, and I just don't want anybody to be disappointed. But head over to forlibertyshop.com. If you're interested in seeing all of the new latest product drops that we have, click on this Founding Fathers looking dead guy over here at forlibertyshop.com. Stephanie made this really cute shirt yesterday, Patriotic American Grandpa. If you've got a grandpa in your life that loves freedom, freedom never retires. Steffi made that. She's so cute. You can get the Patriotic American Grandpa shirt. Yesterday, Brad made this cool Liberty or Death Still Standing shirt. And we've also got all kinds of great mugs and merch to suit everybody's freedom needs. When you go to forlibertyshop.com and you make purchases during the live show, all of those purchases go to add up to unlock the bonus content. Forlibertyshop.com, that's our little small family business, and we're sticking to it. It feeds me, it feeds my wife, it feeds my baby, and it feeds our employee, Brad. There we go. So the left has weaponized the government against us for years, right? They used the FBI. I was working at FreedomWorks back when Obama was targeting us with lowest learners, IRS. When the FBI was being used to target us, the DOJ was used to hunt conservatives. Now they're crying foul because we're using the FTC to stop them from destroying American culture. Cry me a river, all right? I think it's just my opinion, but I think we need to support this Skydance bid. We need to be vocal about it. We need to tell the FCC and the DOJ, block that Netflix deal. We cannot allow the global algorithm to swallow our history. We cannot allow Casablanca and Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings to fall into the hands of our enemies. I won't stand for it. Call me a bad libertarian. I don't care. All the good libertarians are retarded. We cannot allow the left to destroy our greatest cultural export. These are our movies. These are our television. This is when people think about the greatness of America, they don't think about our government. They don't think about our food. They think about our movies or our television. Our cultural exports are our minds, the beauty, our art. What can we create that the rest of the world cannot? I'm open to dissenting opinions about that, right? This $108 billion, it's more than just about money, right? This is a battering ram against the woke fortress. And for the first time, the gates are buckling, right? We're going to keep a close eye on the stock ticker today on the show. If Netflix tries to counterbid, they're going to have to burn their cash reserves to the ground. And if they do that, they have to raise their subscription prices to like $35 a month. Let them do it. Let them destroy themselves, right? We are winning, folks. I know it doesn't always feel like it when you look at the price of avocados at the market or when you see the madness of the schools or the price of a new vehicle in this country. But if you look at the macro level, look at the bigger picture here, the Supreme Court is dismantling the deep state. The foreign bots, they're collapsing. We're going to get to that in a little bit. And now the woke Hollywood monopoly is being raided by base billionaires. The tide is coming. Tide is turning. The cavalry isn't coming. The cavalry is here, and it's flying a jet called Maverick. Yes. Camellia Peterson is going to be joining us live here in 15 minutes. Did you know that it's illegal to build a new hospital without getting permission from the existing hospitals? It's called a certificate of need. It's crony capitalism at its absolute worst, and it's actually killing people. Camellia Peterson is going to join us to break down the dirt field medicine laws that keep healthcare expensive and scarce. If you think the healthcare system is broken by accident, no, it's broken by design. And we're going to show you the blueprints. So stay with us. This is the Wake Up America show. Don't go away. We're like so close to the bonus content. We're going to take a quick little break. When we come back, quick little interlude, and then Camellia Peterson at 8 a.m. Central Time. Unlock that bonus content, and we'll be able to watch that instead of commercials. We'll be right back. It's the Wake Up America show. You're watching the For Liberty Network.
Imagine bringing George Washington back to life. Just to explain that, in 2025, men can get pregnant, waving an American flag might offend someone, and our government is $34 trillion in debt. But that's not all, George. We have drag queen story hour for toddlers. Pronouns are mandatory. And Harvard can't define woman. Oh. And we send billions to Ukraine but can't fix potholes in Ohio. You know, just normal modern empire stuff. I'm sure he'd be totally cool with it. Right after he finishes reloading. He didn't cross the Delaware for this nonsense, but you can carry on the fight with gear that would have made King George cry. Shop bold, shop free, shop for libertyshop.com. Picture this. It's 1776. Thomas Jefferson is hunched over his desk at Monticello, ink-stained fingers, writing the most radical document in human history. Do you really think he was sipping Starbucks? No. He was drinking something bold, something black, something brewed strong enough to fuel a revolution. That's the spirit behind Founding Flavors, our signature line of liberty-fueled coffee. No soy froth, no climate guilt, no corporate slogans. Just real coffee, inspired by the men who wrote freedom into existence. Every cup is a quiet protest. Against mediocrity, against tyranny, against bad coffee. So this morning, skip the globalist brew. Grab something worthy of a free man's sunrise. Founding Flavors. Now brewing at forlibertyshop.com. Legend has it, back in 1773, a band of angry, overtaxed patriots stormed a British ship, found the king's favorite tea, and said, "This would taste better without the tyranny." Then they tossed it overboard. Fast forward to today. That revolutionary spirit lives on in Boston Harbor Black, the boldest brew in the For Liberty tea lineup. It's dark, it's smooth, it's unapologetically American, just like the folks who drink it. Whether you're sweetening it up on the front porch or drinking it straight like a Minuteman before battle, this isn't tea for royalty, it's tea for rebels. No fake flavors, no corporate slogans, just a cold glass of Don't Tread on Me in liquid form. So skip the woke iced tea aisle and stock up on Boston Harbor Black at forlibertyshop.com. Because when the heat's rising, the least you can do is drink like a patriot.
Are you tired of the strange radioactive effects of leftist culture? Do you ever wonder what happened to good old-fashioned American values? Well, fear no more, because there's a new force fighting back against the cultural rot of today. Introducing Culturama, a right-of-center talk show that's taking back the future today. Hosted by none other than blonde bombshell herself, Daniela Pensack. She's not just talking, she's taking culture back, with sharp takes, brilliant guests, and a few surprises along the way. Tune in to the live video podcast twice a week, because the future doesn't have to be weird. It can be Culturama!
If there wasn't going to be somebody who was a fiery champion of liberty, somebody who would get out there and who would be aggressive, and if they wouldn't do it with more fire or passion than I had, then I would go and I would fight this battle for us. I've fought for the principles that we all share. Parties tend to be secondary to me. We're here because we believe in the principles of liberty.
The FCC's public interest censorship more than 60 years ago. In her 1962 essay, Have Gun, Will Nudge, Rand foresaw how government officials would seek to silence people they don't like. After Jimmy Kimmel delivered a misinformed monologue about the assassination of Charlie Kirk, Federal Communications Commission, FCC, Chair Brendan Carr pressured broadcast channels to take the comedian off the air. Carr faced immediate pushback, Republican sends. Rand Paul of Kentucky, Ted Cruz of Texas, and Dave McCormick of Pennsylvania all chastised Carr for trying to use his position to steer private companies' editorial decisions, a serious breach of free speech principles. Carr is not without his defenders, however. Nathan Lemur, tech policy writer and one-time advisor to former FCC Chair Ajit Pai, asserts that Carr's actions fall squarely within his duty to promote the public interest on television, as defined by the Communications Act of 1934. He also assails libertarians in particular for not caring about how the FCC works, and he suggests that such skeptics are incorrectly or selectively railing against the public interest standard in the Kimmel case. But fans of the free market have been warning that broad interpretations of the public interest standard will empower the FCC to engage in censorship for over 60 years. Just read Ayn Rand. In 1962, Rand penned a prophetic warning about the public interest standard, which then FCC Chair Newton N. Minow was citing, to justify pressuring television companies to create more educational programming. Minow famously railed against a supposedly vast wasteland of shoddy television shows, and he claimed that the FCC's charter empowered him to push for editorial changes to the medium that would align with his view of the public interest. "You must provide a wider range of choices, more diversity, more alternatives," said Minow in his well-remembered 1961 speech. "It is not enough to cater to the nation's whims, you must also serve the nation's needs." Minow repeatedly claimed that he was not in favor of government censorship and was not trying to tell broadcasters what they could and could not say. Rather, he charged them to make nebulous and ill-defined improvements to the product that he believed would be better appreciated by the American public, i.e., the public interest. In her March 1962 essay, Have Gun, Will Nudge, Rand argued that this was censorship by another name. It is true, as Mr. Minow assures us, that he does not propose to establish censorship. What he proposes is much worse, she wrote. Unlike explicit bans on speech, Rand warned, the modern method of censorship neither forbids nor permits anything. It never defines or specifies. It merely delivers men's lives, fortunes, careers, ambitions into the arbitrary power of a bureaucrat who can reward or punish at whim. This strong arming, she argued, spares the bureaucrat from rules or standards and instead places upon the victims the burden of discovering how to please him, with the fluid unknowable as their only guide. She even imagined how such influence could play out in practice. A federal commissioner may never utter a single word for or against any program. But what do you suppose will happen, Rand asked, if and when, with or without his knowledge, a third assistant or a second cousin, or just a nameless friend from Washington, whispers to a television executive that the commissioner does not like producer X, or does not approve of writer Y, or takes a great interest in the career of starlet Z, or is anxious to advance the cause of the United Nations. The title of the essay was inspired by Rand's contention that a man who holds a gun to your head and demands your wallet is surely deploying impermissible force rather than mere encouragement. When the FCC chair proclaims that a private company can do this the easy way or the hard way, he is providing a similar kind of nudge. What makes it possible to bring a free country down to such a level? Rand asked. If you doubt the connection between altruism and statism, I suggest that you count how many times, in the current articles, speeches, debates, and hearings, there appeared the magic formula which makes all such outrages possible: the public interest.
Please stop comparing us to Tim Walz. You're giving us a bad reputation. Please stop comparing us to Tim Walz. You're giving us a bad reputation.
I'm going to hell. Good morning. Rise in freedom. I'm Austin Petersen. You're watching and listening to the Wake Up America show, and we're on the For Liberty Network, baby. I love seeing M&M's just made her very first purchase from the Griff shop this morning. M&M's. And for that, we thank you. Speaking of that, we thank you. I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. Does anybody remember the show Tosh.0? Daniel Tosh? I was talking to some people the other day about it. I was trying to find a meme of Tosh.0. Like, I was going through Twitter, you know, where you go through the GIFs. Yes, the GIFs. And I'm trying to find like the meme where Daniel Tosh says, "And for that, we thank you." Am I just so old now? Nobody remembers that show and they don't make GIFs? If you go to Twitter and you try and find a GIF of Daniel Tosh saying, "And for that, we thank you," it's not there. Tosh.0, that was my favorite. BB for Liberty, man. I used to 420 all day, hanging out with my boys in DC, watching Daniel Tosh laughing my ass off with the volcano. Like a real libertarian. Daniel Tosh in 2007. Great set. 2007. No! Hi, everybody. My name is Austin Petersen. I ran for president in 2016. Do y'all remember? I remember watching Daniel Tosh. He used to say, "And for that, we thank you." He was the next best thing we could get after Chappelle's show ended. Yeah, boy. What a mystery, too, when Dave Chappelle ended. I'm so glad and thankful to have friends joining us here live on the Wake Up America show. When you click the like button, an angel gets its wings. Everybody watching the Christmas songs or the Christmas movies. What's your favorite Christmas movie? And why is it It's a Wonderful Life? Teacher says every time a bell rings. This is such a beautiful, heartwarming movie. And the main character, the female lead character, she reminds me a lot of my sweet little smoking hot redhead libertarian wife, Stephanie. She's just so sweet. Somebody was praising the wife as kind of the unsung hero of It's a Wonderful Life. When she steps in and she volunteers in her community, she does all of this good work. She loves her kids. She steps up to help her husband. I mean, Mary Bailey, that's what it was. Mary Bailey from It's a Wonderful Life. Just such a beautiful person. She reminds me a lot of my sweet Steffi.
What's the matter? Oh, yeah. Oh, no, you tell me.
He's making violent love to me, mother. What a great line. Do you like to spend Christmas holidays with your family watching Christmas movies? We always watch Turner Classic Movies, me and my family, when we get together for Christmas, and that's definitely on the list. He's making violent love to me, mother. Stephanie's like, "Yes, please." Camellia Peterson's going to join us live in a little bit less than 5. Normally, I would go to a commercial break here, but I already did that, so I think I'm just going to go ahead and send the invite. Boop, boop, and we'll try and get Camellia Peterson in here. As soon as she joins us live, I'll bring her into the show. The Wake Up America show is brought to you in part by viewers and listeners like you. We've raised already phase 2 of the bonus content. We don't normally raise it that fast. You guys have been super generous, especially M&M's, who made her first purchase from the shop this morning. Thank you, M&M's. We're so grateful to you. Thank you for supporting me and Steffi and our sweet little baby Hazel. The 2 Christmas movies I have to watch, It's a Wonderful Life and Die Hard. Yes, I've already watched Die Hard, and now it's time for us to watch It's a Wonderful Life. Thank you guys so much for unlocking phase 2 of the bonus content. So what that means for everybody who's not used to watching the Wake Up America show, if today's your first time, maybe you're hate watching it because we're going to be talking about Nick Fuentes later, perhaps. FYI, we are going to play a game show. Everybody gets to play on their phones at home, and we all compete against each other in trivia for real prizes. And everybody who plays is going to win a prize, and the top prize is a grand prize that we'll be able to play together after the end of the show. So right around 9 a.m., everybody is going to get a login code and a website to go to. And you'll enter in the code, and then we all log on, play the games, and it's a lot of fun, and we all goof off and laugh and have a blast, and everybody wins real prizes. So that's because we've raised $150 so far, and I'm hoping that we don't raise $200, to be honest, because I'm really not necessarily feeling in the mood to sing. Maybe what I should do is I should get my next guest, Camellia Peterson, and I should make her sing. What do you guys say? Camellia Peterson will be joining us live here in just a moment. Looks like she's getting into the waiting room, so we'll see her lovely face in just about 1 minute here. So let me ask you a question. If you wanted to open up a pizza shop in your town, do you have to go down to City Hall and ask the owner of Domino's for permission? Of course not. That would be insane, right? Domino's would obviously say no, and you'd be out of business before you even started. That is called a cartel, and that is illegal. Right. But in the American healthcare system, that is exactly how the law works. It's called a certificate of need. In 35 states, if you want to build a hospital, add more beds, or even buy a new MRI machine, you have to prove to a government board that the community needs it. And guess who sits on that board? The lawyer for the hospital down the street. Right? It's called the competitor's veto. Right? It's the reason why healthcare is scarce. It's the reason why in some towns you have people dying in ambulances because the nearest ER is full, while a perfectly good plot of land sits empty next door, a dirt field, because the government said a new hospital wasn't necessary. They tell you it keeps costs down. That is a lie. It keeps profits up for the big guys, and it keeps care away from you. Joining us now to expose this dirt field medicine scam is Camellia Peterson. Camellia, welcome to the show.
Good morning. I thought maybe I was late.
No, you were right on time. I was like, I was dancing because I needed to kill time a little bit before you got here. So, Camellia, for people who have never heard of this, and I think that's most people, can you explain what a certificate of need is?
Yeah, no, the description that you gave was perfect. I mean, basically, it's going when you want to expand your business, or you want to get another MRI machine, or you want to open a clinic, you basically have to go to a board or commission that's made up of your competitors and ask permission. It is the most anti-free market thing in healthcare. It's really unreal that we still have these laws on the books in so many states, and Missouri is one of those. But, you know, it should tell you something that when the federal government, so the federal government is kind of the one that started this certificate of need law. And, you know, the road to hell is paved with good intentions, right? I mean, like, it was initially started because they thought that it would help especially rural areas. And as it turns out, it has the opposite effect. And so in 1987, the federal government said, this isn't working. We are repealing the mandate that requires states to have these laws on their books, and we encourage you to get rid of them. And so, funny enough, it's been really, really hard to get rid of those laws at the state level. And that is 100% because of cronyism.
It absolutely is. And I'm very sorry, Camellia. I've completely forgotten, and I hope you'll forgive me. I should have reminded everyone that it is your birthday. Happy birthday, Camellia.
Thank you.
Happy birthday.
It's another Tuesday.
Yeah, well, you know, it must be nice to be in your early 30s. Camellia Peterson joins us every Tuesday and Thursday on the Wake Up America show. So if you love her appearance here today, come back and join us every Tuesday and Thursday at 8 a.m. Central. She's a peach. Camellia, this certificate of need, it's a big issue in Missouri, but the story that we were focusing on is this story called, I think it's in North Carolina, where they've got this dirt field that they're trying to build a hospital in, and they can't do it because the competitors are saying no.
Yeah, it's classic example of, you know, how it can hang up a process that was intended to help these rural areas. And you have, Yeah, you have one healthcare entity, one company that is blocking another company from moving forward. And it's because they can block this in this certificate of need process. And so it's interesting, reading through some of the comments that were made. It's just like, it's mind-boggling the things that people say, because they're paid to say them, right? When you're talking about attorneys who are defending this. And, one of the healthcare attorneys for another state that's representing the Illinois Certificate of Need Commission, he said, if the principle is worth preserving, don't abandon the principle, improve the process to allow the principle to flourish. So I'm like, what the heck? If it's not working, why are you working hard to preserve it? And I mean, and in North Carolina, like, they recognize, the hospital system spokesperson acknowledges that it is slowing the process in opening these facilities, but they still got to do it anyway. Like, it's mind-boggling that they can continue to defend this to the people, especially in the rural communities who are suffering already from a lack of healthcare options.
How common is this, Camellia? Where do we see this happening? How widespread is this practice, et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah, well, there are still 35 states that have certificate of need laws on the books. So it's still the majority of the states. This has been a big focus, for my organization in states all across the country, and it's one of ours in Missouri too. We have a representative named Matthew Overcast from the Southwest Missouri area who has filed, again, a bill to repeal this. We've tried this before, and it's just really hard, and it's because you're going up against the healthcare system, and it is, the hospital association is powerful. They have lots of lobbyists, and they donate lots of money to politicians, and so that's primarily who we're going up against. And it is a tangled web we have woven in healthcare in this country, and we're also talking a lot about Obamacare subsidies right now at the federal level. And and I think the question for everybody is, what is the solution? Because the problem is you pull one string. And so I can remember when our good friend Tony Lavasco, when he was in the legislature a few years ago, they were having hearings on this. And of course, the Hospital Association, Nursing Home Association, these groups are all coming in and throwing up all of these reasons why we can't do this. And so this one lady was giving all of these reasons why, and it's because there are federal strings and ties to everything. And I get that, it's not simple, but Tony said, he was like, if we waited to do anything until everything was perfect, we would never get any of it done. Yeah, exactly. So it's not a reason to just sit on our hands because, it's too hard.
So here's the argument that they make on the other side. The big hospital monopolies, they argue that they need this protection so that they can afford to provide charity care for the poor. Is that true?
I mean, how is it making it easier for them to provide, charitable care? Because if they are protecting their monopoly on it, and they're not building facilities in the areas that need it. That doesn't add up to me. I don't know what that rationale is about, because that doesn't make any sense.
Well, if they have competition, then their profits go down and they can't do as much charity.
Well, yeah, maybe. I think that we have to look. I think we would have to dig a lot deeper and look deeper at how much charitable, giving we're doing to begin with. And don't get me wrong. I do think that, it is a difficult dilemma that hospitals have, in that they can't turn people away, right? They have to take care of people when they come to them, in dire need. Now, do they have to do everything? No. But, if somebody's life is in danger, they're not going to turn them away. Most of the time, they're not going to ask, can you afford this first? But I feel pretty confident that Americans are the most generous people on this earth, and that we can find a way to do this, because the reality is right now is that they're not getting health care in those areas. There was something that just came out of the federal government. I was trying to find it here real quick so I don't mess up the title of it. But basically it's an initiative from the federal government that's giving, it's urban healthcare something, but they're giving $50 billion over the next 5 years, I believe it is, for medical services in rural areas. So now the question becomes like, how does it get split up between the states, and how much is Missouri going to get? And so they're going to pump money into these areas, but the question is, does it fix the problem, or is it a Band-Aid? And if they continue to have these really restrictive policies on the books, it's just a Band-Aid, because you're just throwing money at something without giving opportunity for long-term change. One of the things, this is specific to Missouri. So a few years ago, I kind of did a tour around the Boot Heel in Missouri, and the senator at the time took me to a lot of the towns that are just dying out. And there's a lot of reasons for that, including right to work issues with unions. However, he said that in this little town, there was a facility that was sitting empty because someone had gotten a certificate of need for a clinic and then sat on it and didn't do anything with it. And as long as they hold that certificate of need, nobody else can get one. And that's just ludicrous. Like, I mean, that hurts the people that live in those areas.
Now, it's not just the hospitals itself that you need permission to build. It's sometimes things like medical equipment, right?
Yeah, sure. MRI machines. There's also in that story, the story of an ophthalmologist who could not get permission to be able to perform procedures at his clinic. So, I mean, there's all kinds of things, and it's a little different in every state, but there are all kinds of things that you have to get permission for. And it's not just, expanding the number of beds. And think about this, like, who is going to, if they're saying that they're preventing like over investment in the healthcare system, who's going to make that big of an investment if they don't feel pretty confident about their returns? Like that makes no sense at all. And what motivation do you have for the current, healthcare options to perform well, to provide good service? Because once they've got their spot locked in, they don't need to worry about their competition.
Now, we talked a little bit earlier on the show about Trump fighting the deep state. We were talking about the Supreme Court potentially prepared to overturn the Slaughter case to allow Trump to fire people who work in the executive branch, and that's all well and good. Is there any federal angle on the certificate of need laws, or is this all just a state-based fight? Is there anything the Trump administration can do, or Congress, or the Supreme Court?
So, I think the administration has been putting pressure on and telling states that you need to do this, but I don't think that they have any particular leverage or any control over it so that they could force their hands on it. So that's why I guess I would rather see, if they're going to do this huge infusion of money into rural health care from the federal government, along with that, can you apply a little pressure that they repeal these anti-free market healthcare laws at the state level? If you're going to give Missouri, I would love it if you would put some strings on there that we had to get rid of certificate of need in the state. That would be something practical and helpful.
So, you're an activist here in Missouri, and you're working on trying to overturn these terrible laws, certificate of need laws. It's been something I've talked about for years, and I try and get people to wake up about, because it's the kind of boring law that people don't realize has deadly impacts in their communities. But if somebody is listening to this and realizes, that their local hospital is doing this, that there's a monopoly and that they're charging them whatever they want, what can the average citizen do? What do you say to people when you knock on their doors and talk to them about that? And, which states are currently fighting to repeal these laws? What's happening here in Missouri, and what's happening in the other states? Talk to us a little bit about, just the average man on the street and their view of this thing.
So, there are all kinds of states that are fighting this right now. North Carolina is one that we've talked about. Illinois is fighting it. Of course, it's even harder in Illinois. Missouri has been fighting it for several years. And these are, with the exception of Illinois, these are red states. And I think that part of the issue is this is such a niche, wonky issue that people just don't know about, that it's been interesting in Missouri here in the last few years that in the grassroots political community, this has been getting attention more and more. So I'm fascinated when people come up and they actually know what it is and they bring it up to me. And that's a good thing, because the truth is we all know that politicians respond to public pressure and noise. There are lots of issues that we work on for years and nothing moves on them. And then all of a sudden it gets relevant in our cultural conversation and on social media and online, and people are making a lot of noise. And lo and behold, something can get done. So we do need, like, it's really, I know this seems like a really boring thing to a lot of people, but that's even more important why they need to hear you talk about it online. They need to hear you, you need to call them, go to their office, anything, because for them, it's just unusual that somebody even brings up something like that.
It's not, it's not going to inspire anybody to give me any rumble rants, unfortunately. Womp womp.
No.
But I talk about it because I know it's an important issue that actually impacts us. A couple of weeks ago, Hazel, she bumped her head. She fell off the side of the couch and like bumped her head, and it like made this big welt, and we're freaking out. So we run to the emergency room, and things like that make you realize just how much you depend on your local hospitals. And I live in a rural community. We don't have a lot of hospitals. We got more than most just because this is like the government town, so that they're going to make sure that they get their care. But a lot of
and you've got Mizzou right there.
And you got Mizzou. Yeah, we can drive to Columbia, which is nice. But I'll tell you, you go down to Sykeston, you go down to Southeast Missouri, you go down to Boot Heel, you go down to some of these, you go to Texas County, Bexar County, here in Missouri, a lot of these rural communities, there's no hospital within miles. They got to go to Columbia themselves to drive 3 hours to go get care in the middle of the night. It's scary stuff.
And I think one of the things that needs to be pointed out here is that life is trade-offs, right? There's no solutions. There are only trade-offs. Mm-hmm. But I think people have the assumption that that free market principles are supposed to be a guarantee that things will be perfect and as they should be. And whether it's school choice or whether it's healthcare, no matter what it is that you are utilizing free market principles in, it presents an opportunity. It's not a guarantee that people will innovate, but it creates the environment that they can innovate. Because, if you have restrictive policies like certificate of need, you can be sure there will be no innovation because you're shutting it down before it can even start.
Completely agree. Happy birthday to my current guest, Camellia Peterson, who's joining us live on the Wake Up America show. Hey, I saw that this is just a little bit of selfishness for ourselves, for our Missouri Liberty people. But I saw that a certain friend of ours is running for office. We sent a little, Steffi and I sent a little donation last night in so we could get a certain, yeah, but he's a cop, dang it.
Well, we need the good ones too. I think he's one of the good ones. And you know what? I really appreciate him. He's a young man, and he is starting with
Connor Martin, by the way. Connor Martin.
Yes. So yes, he is starting with a local position. Mm-hmm. And we need so many more people to get involved at the local level. Yeah. And I really appreciate that he's doing that.
We got to stop running for president of the United States.
Right? Some people just think they can jump right in at the top.
True. And then they get swatted down. Camellia, we've got him. We've got Tony Lavasco is also running here to try and gain a seat in the House of Representatives. What are some of the brighter spots that we're seeing here in Missouri? Tony, anybody else that you're looking at and like?
Sure. There's a gentleman running in Southwest Missouri named Will Worsham, and there are a couple other people like him too that are, when I talk to them and hear the ideas they have, it's so encouraging because they are not just, they talk about, the principles that we hold dear and not taxing people to death and all of those good things and free market principles, but they also are talking about some very practical and pragmatic ways to get there. And so, because we can be libertarians and talk about, taxation is theft and end the Fed, all day long. But at some point we have to have the practical steps to get there. And we have several people who are running or are in office now that do that. And I really appreciate that.
Camellia Peterson celebrating Christmas this year. Have you watched any Christmas movies? Is your tree up and decorated? I think you sent me a little video, didn't you, of your tree? Everything looking nice at your house?
Oh, well, that was Kathy Joe's house.
Oh, that's right. I looked at it.
We all want to be Kathy Jo's, right?
Yeah, exactly.
No, I sent you that because at the very end, and her thing was a little thing of Founding Flavors coffee. That's what she was serving everyone.
I love it. Man, and hey, I bet people liked it. It's good stuff.
Yes. So I have my tree up. There are probably about 4 ornaments on it so far. A little slow getting to things, but we'll get there.
Well, I think I know what to get you for your birthday and for Christmas. A nice little ornament from forlibertyshop.com.
Yes.
Camellia, is there anything else about this topic or other topics that you'd like to share before we let you go today?
No, I really I know it's a kind of a boring thing, but I really would encourage you to make a little noise about certificate of need. Like if we're going to, it's one of those things that, things like Obamacare get the most attention and blah, 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 at the federal level. But this stuff at the state level are the policies that impact you the most, even if they're more boring and not everybody's like, we need to make it a hot topic, and we can do that.
Well, Andy Opperman thinks it is. He says it inspires me. Thanks, Andy.
Okay, good. I appreciate our fellow wonky nerds.
Yeah. Camellia, we appreciate you. Merry Christmas. Happy birthday. We'll see you on Thursday morning at this time, 8 a.m. Central. You have a wonderful day.
Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you.
Be the one that has all the
me and Steffi. Every time, Steffi will be cooking breakfast in the morning, and I'll come in and I'll just wrap my arms around her waist, and put my nose in her hair and start sniffing. That's how we'll get Hazel too. I'm so glad and thankful to have all of our friends hanging out with us here on the Wake Up America show. People like Drew Van Runkle, East Coast Toasty Boy, John and KC, BB for Liberty over there in the chat. We love hanging out with all of our friends on the morning. Thank you, guys. Steffi was asking, John was asking for the link for the classes that AP teaches. Just an FYI, if you guys are curious about my AI for Creators course, you can find that at forlibertyshop.com. That's the number forlibertyshop.com, and it's right on the front page. John, just an FYI, when you go to forlibertyshop.com, you can find actual necking. There we go, M&Ms, exactly. Scroll on down on the front page there. Unlock AI mastery, create daily content like a pro. And just so you know, I've actually started to transfer my business operations away from ChatGPT to a new, more powerful AI. So if you're curious about that, then sign up for my AI course. You won't regret it. Over at forlibertyshop.com, you go down and you can enroll now, get all of the content that we produced so far, as well as join us on our weekly sessions on Thursday afternoons. Sometimes I have to change the times. I hope that you don't mind. It's just that I have to try and work these out of my schedule. But we have an incredible list of resources available for you if you sign up for the AI for Creators course. I hope that you'll do so. You'll sign up for today. Maybe do it, wait until right after the show, because if you bought the AI course right now, that would unlock phase 3 of the bonus content. And then I'd have to sing a song or something, and nobody wants to hear that. What you should do is keep donating Rumble Rants until we raise $199, and then the end of the show, and then buy the AI course so that I don't have to sing any Christmas carols, because who wants to sing You're a Mean One, Mr. Grinch? We've got Colin Wright joining us live to talk a little bit about the Groypers in just a few minutes. Colony Corp says, arm the boomers with AI skills. No, that's the last thing we need. They'll find a way to extend their lives and suck off Social Security and Medicare and Medicaid for another 10 to 20 to 30 years, bankrupting our country, Colony Corps. No. We're going to talk about Nick Fuentes and his Groyper Army here in a little bit less than 5 minutes with Colin Wright on the Wake Up America show. Since you've unlocked phase 1 and 2 of the bonus contents, here's what's going to happen. We're going to go to commercial, but instead of a commercial, you get to watch the mini documentary. So if you missed it the first time we played it, you get to see it. And then after Colin Wright's interview, we're going to all play a game. This is going to turn into a game show. You're going to get a website with a code. You log into the website, put in the code, and we're all going to play a game, and we're all going to have fun and win prizes, and it's a blast. We all compete against each other. It's going to be amazing. So let's go to our quick little break. I'm going to go get Colin on the show, and when we get back, we're going to talk about the Groyper Army. It's the Wake Up America show, and you're watching the For Liberty Network.
Ayn Rand Rand denounced the FCC's public interest censorship more than 60 years ago. In her 1962 essay, Have Gun, Will Nudge, Rand foresaw how government officials would seek to silence people they don't like. After Jimmy Kimmel delivered a misinformed monologue about the assassination of Charlie Kirk, Federal Communications Commission, FCC, Chair Brendan Carr pressured broadcast channels to take the comedian off the air. Carr faced immediate pushback, Republican sends. Rand Paul of Kentucky, Ted Cruz of Texas, and Dave McCormick of Pennsylvania all chastised Carr for trying to use his position to steer private companies' editorial decisions, a serious breach of free speech principles. Carr is not without his defenders, however. Nathan Lemur, tech policy writer and one-time advisor to former FCC Chair Ajit Pai, asserts that Carr's actions fall squarely within his duty to promote the public interest on television, as defined by the Communications Act of 1934. He also assails libertarians in particular for not caring about how the FCC works, and he suggests that such skeptics are incorrectly or selectively railing against the public interest standard in the Kimmel case. But fans of the free market have been warning that broad interpretations of the public interest standard will empower the FCC to engage in censorship for over 60 years. Just read Ayn Rand. In 1962, Rand penned a prophetic warning about the public interest standard, which then FCC Chair Newton N. Minow was citing, to justify pressuring television companies to create more educational programming. Minow famously railed against a supposedly vast wasteland of shoddy television shows, and he claimed that the FCC's charter empowered him to push for editorial changes to the medium that would align with his view of the public interest. "You must provide a wider range of choices, more diversity, more alternatives," said Minow in his well-remembered 1961 speech. "It is not enough to cater to the nation's whims. You must also serve the nation's needs." Minow repeatedly claimed that he was not in favor of government censorship and was not trying to tell broadcasters what they could and could not say. Rather, he charged them to make nebulous and ill-defined improvements to the product that he believed would be better appreciated by the American public, i.e., the public interest. In her March 1962 essay, Have Gun, Will Nudge, Rand argued that this was censorship by another name. It is true, as Mr. Minow assures us, that he does not propose to establish censorship. What he proposes is much worse, she wrote. Unlike explicit bans on speech, Rand warned, the modern method of censorship neither forbids nor permits anything. It never defines or specifies. It merely delivers men's lives, fortunes, careers, ambitions into the arbitrary power of a bureaucrat who can reward or punish at whim. This strong arming, she argued, spares the bureaucrat from rules or standards and instead places upon the victims the burden of discovering how to please him, with a fluid unknowable as their only guide. She even imagined how such influence could play out in practice. A federal commissioner may never utter a single word for or against any program. But what do you suppose will happen, Rand asked, if and when, with or without his knowledge, a third assistant or a second cousin, or just a nameless friend from Washington, whispers to a television executive that the commissioner does not like producer X, or does not approve of writer Y, or takes a great interest in the career of starlet Z, or is anxious to advance the cause of the United Nations? The title of the essay was inspired by Rand's contention that a man who holds a gun to your head and demands your wallet is surely deploying impermissible force rather than mere encouragement. When the FCC chair proclaims that a private company can do this the easy way or the hard way, he is providing a similar kind of nudge. What makes it possible to bring a free country down to such a level? Rand asked. If you doubt the connection between altruism and statism, I suggest that you count how many times, in the current articles, speeches, debates, and hearings, there appeared the magic formula which makes all such outrages possible: the public interest.
Are you tired of the strange radioactive effects of leftist culture? Do you ever wonder what happened to good old-fashioned American values? Well, fear no more, because there's a new force fighting back against the cultural rot of today. Introducing Culturama, a right-of-center talk show that's taking back the future today. Hosted by none other than blonde bombshell herself, Daniela Pensack. She's not just talking, she's taking culture back. With sharp takes, brilliant guests, and a few surprises along the way. Tune in to the live video podcast twice a week, because the future doesn't have to be weird. It can be Culturama.
If there wasn't going to be somebody who was
a prominent conservative in America has to say about Adolf Hitler. Now, what do you mean by Hitler is very fucking cool? Because I think he's very fucking a monster.
Okay. That's a clip. I think he's very fucking a monster. Do you hear yourself?
Yeah, I mean,
can we all grow up?
I do.
Can we all grow up?
He murdered 12 million
childish.
people. He murdered 12 million people. What is very fucking cool about that? Tell me.
The edits, it's just cool. The uniforms, the parades, it's cool as a guy. You look at World War II and it's fascinating and it's interesting and it's compelling and it's cool.
If you've spent any time on X in the last 2 years, you probably know the feeling. You post a standard conservative opinion, maybe about the border, maybe about the election, and within 30 seconds, you're swarmed, right? Hundreds of accounts, anime avatars, Groyper bios. They flood the zone. They ratio your post. They create an overwhelming psychological impression that they are the majority and you are the fossil. Okay, boomers, right? For years, we were told that this was a youth movement. We were told it was the inevitable future of the right. But a bombshell report dropped yesterday suggesting that the movement is actually a mirage. The report was titled Synthetic Consensus, and it alleges that the Nick Fuentes myth is being sustained by a massive coordinated botnet. And the numbers in this report are terrifying. According to the data, 60% of the daily engagement on America First hashtags is non-human, 60%. The report alleges that they've traced the IP signatures not to American college campuses, but to server farms in St. Petersburg and Shanghai, masked behind residential VPNs. They found a behavioral pattern they call consensus cracking, where bots are programmed to reply within 0.5 seconds of a post to artificially weight the algorithm and suppress real debate. So we're not talking about trolls here. We're talking about industrial scale psychological warfare. Joining us now to break down these allegations is the man behind the report. You know him as an evolutionary biologist, a fellow at the Manhattan Institute, founder of Reality's Lie Stand, where he usually defends biological reality. Today is here to defend digital reality. Colin Wright, welcome to the show. Glad to have you here.
Hey, thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
So here's the stay in your lane question, Colin. I have to start here. I mean, you are an evolutionary biologist. You track chromosomes, not code. You write for the Manhattan Institute about gender theory. Why is a biologist releasing a forensic audit of a political botnet? What qualifies your team to make these kinds of technical allegations?
Well, I'm actually just sort of the messenger on this one. This is a report by the NCRI, the Network Contagion Research Institute. And I'm just kind of someone who broke this story, this report into the public. It's issues I care deeply about. I don't just care about the sex and gender debate. I talk a lot about academia stuff. And I also care about, I guess, social media in general and manipulated signals that we're seeing and how the culture wars are going. I've always just been kind of generally interested in the culture war and its evolution over time. So not just evolution of bugs and insects that I study, but evolution of human cultural norms and how we're the sort of debates that we're tracking in real time. And so
I get it.
That's kind of why I enjoyed
I get
publishing
it. I mean,
this
yeah,
topic.
absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I think it was Richard Dawkins who even invented the term meme. So it's something that something that people like yourself are interested in. I get it. Okay. So let's talk about the smoking gun proof. So the report claims that 60% of this traffic is fake. That is a massive number. But we all know that algorithms can be wrong. So what is the single undeniable piece of evidence, the smoking gun, that convinces you that these are machines and not just highly motivated, sleep-deprived teenagers?
You know, so these could be organic engagements with people. We don't know for sure. We do know that we see what is sort of suspicious activity that is consistent with bots, where in the first few seconds that a post by Nick is posted, you get thousands of likes, you get thousands of engagements, and usually the likes are something like 90% of all the engagements that it has. So that's odd. We know that from retweets that at least before Charlie Kirk's death was over half these were foreign company or foreign engagements from countries that are known to have bot farms, like Pakistan and Malaysia, India, places like that. So it's not just a random selection of countries that you might expect if this was like some coordinated foreign thing, but it's specifically these countries that are known for being able to purchase these cheap bot farm, engagement farm type places. And then after Charlie Kirk's death, we saw that like this, what seems to be this foreign boosting and potential algorithmic manipulation kind of turned then into real organic engagements from people, because the signal boosting seemed to be successful. So we don't know for sure if they're bots, but all the data is very consistent with them being bots.
So you cite server farms in St. Petersburg, but in the age of VPNs and spoofing, how can we confirm that? How do we know that this isn't just a guy in New Jersey routing his traffic through Russia to look cool?
Yeah, I mean, that could be the case that they're doing, but usually what we see is the bot farms don't want people to know they're from India. So they would be more likely to want to VPN an address in the United States rather than someone in the US, VPNing an address in India or St. Petersburg, for instance. So the thing is, because VPNs exist and because this report has now come out that sort of exposed this foreign manipulation, there's nothing really stopping a lot of these foreign actors from doing the VPNs to try to make their engagements look more organic than they actually are.
Okay. Well, Nick has responded to this, and here's what he said. He said that an organization called NCRI published a report that my engagement is botted. He says this is the same group that said Christ is King is anti-Semitic, and they are partnered with the ADL, Soros Open Society, and the United Nations. Just another matrix attack. So the United Nations, the ADL, Open Society Foundations, not necessarily the kind of institutions that are going to convince a lot of right-wingers. How do you respond to Nicholas questioning the veracity of the people who are behind this report?
Well, there's, I think, just two parts to that. First is what he said isn't actually an argument against the data. Like, the data could be very real, and it could also be the case that it's funded by people that he doesn't like. So just because it's funded by something you don't like or some group you don't like, you actually have to engage with the data. Like, what did they get wrong with the data? Is this completely fabricated? Is that what he's accusing them of? And then I know the people at NCRI, and they get this accusation, we're funded by Soros and all this stuff. So these were donations that they received back in 2018. A single donation that they had, which makes them include, we've been funded by these people. They kind of look back at that as like, oh, we probably shouldn't have done that, but they have not accepted any donations from these organizations since. So they are just sort of this independent, privately funded organization now. And I mean, I don't think they should be forever tarnished by who happened to might have funded them 7 years ago.
But would you agree that it would be a tarnishing if, for example, like the Soros Foundation was funding it now? That would be a problem.
Yeah, I mean, you always definitely need to think twice about who's funding certain research. That's definitely a factor you should consider.
Absolutely, sure. And I do. So there's the Fed variable on this one. A lot of people, including Elon Musk, are the famous rooftop Korean of Los Angeles riots fame, alleging that Nick Fuentes is a Fed. I'm looking at your data on the Shanghai cluster. A lot of my audience is going to hear this and think CIA Psy-Op. So did your analysis filter for domestic intelligence signatures? Is it possible that these foreign bots are actually coming from Northern Virginia to discredit the right?
That's something that we're not able to tell given the current data. I don't think there's any compelling evidence that Nick Fuentes is a Fed, despite what Elon has said several times. And I mean, Elon knows the president. He's probably got him on speed dial. If he wanted to expose Nick as being a Fed, then I mean, he's the person to kind of do it. So I guess we'll see how that plays out. Right now, we don't know. whether or not this could be.
I mean, listen, I'm willing to believe that foreign agents want to drive discord between the MAGA coalition here in the United States in order to aid their, Russia wants us to get uninvolved in Ukraine. They want to split the MAGA coalition apart. China is obvious why they want to drive us apart. And then with India and Pakistan, they're usually hired guns. But of course, there's a lot of Islamists who want to see the United States destroyed and brought low, and taking out the MAGA movement suits their needs. But of course, we've seen a lot of the Never Trump movement here in the United States, a lot of the official government actors who hate Donald Trump. We've seen them try and take him down with the Russia collusion hoax. We've seen all manner of bullshit peddled to try and take down the president. And so I'd be willing to believe that some of this might be domestic in order to try and take down the MAGA movement, because Nick Fuentes and his followers very clearly opposed Donald Trump in the previous election. And after Charlie Kirk died, a lot of the traffic patterns started to change. So let's talk a little bit about the money trail. So to run a botnet of this scale, if it is a botnet, right, millions of posts a day, that costs serious money. So we're talking enterprise level cloud computing bills. So does your report offer any evidence of who's paying this bill, right? Is Fuentes the customer, or is he the elf on the shelf who is, he's being Psy-Op'd himself, right? Is he directing this? Is he paying for this? Or is somebody else paying for it?
So we don't know if he's paying for any of this directly. We do know that there is some orchestration on his behalf. You can see it on his live streams where he'll directly, tell his audience to retweet this, repost this, retweet her, that type of thing. So that's sort of his own coordination with his fan base who's watching during his live streams. I do think that a lot of foreign countries could see Nick as this wedge figure that, if his signal is boosted, he could really drive this wedge in the MAGA movement and separate it. So I think there is just sort of this organic sentiment of, if we boost this person's signal, it's not to say that he doesn't have an organic following. He does. He's got a rabid fan base. But if they can just sort of supplement his signal to kind of get it over this hump to the point where mainstream media mistake this sort of manipulated noise for this organic sentiment in the politics, then they can get him hits on things that we've seen, like the New York Times, in the Atlantic, in Politico, and you can actually turn this manipulated signal into sort of a real sentiment. It has this way of sort of just this jujitsu move of turning this fake noise into actual real noise. And I think that's kind of one of the main points of this report, is that it seemed to be a successful campaign to astroturf him into the public conversation. And we're all talking about him right now. So the scary part is how easily this can be done. Potentially cheaply it can be done, because our media doesn't seem to be able to distinguish between manipulated noise and the genuine article.
Okay, so what about the human shield defense? So the Fuentes camp, they're already pushing back. They're here in the comments. Right, they're saying this interview is going to haunt me. Right, they're saying that you're labeling real American dissidents as NPCs in order to dehumanize them. So, how does your methodology distinguish between someone who's like of something that's like a Groyper bot and a real human who just happens to use the same copy paste slogans? What is the error rate from this paper?
We don't know whether or not the individuals who are interacting with these posts are bots or not. What we're pointing to is the fact that there seems to be this coordinated manipulation of the algorithm by making everybody retweet this at the same time in the first few seconds of something's being posted, which is what algorithms tend to favor to suggest these posts to a much broader audience. Then we have the fact that there's a massive percentage, at least of the people who are retweeting it, where we can actually glean data about their location. They appear to be coming from foreign countries, so we're not just organic, America first, normal patriots. Like, there is a foreign influence that is happening on this. So that's kind of where we're looking at this and to construct what we think is maybe the most reasonable conclusion, where we have real engagements. Again, Nick Fuentes has a rabid following. It's just being apparently supplemented by some sort of foreign We don't know if it's bot farms or real people. They could be real people. We don't know. But it's not completely like organic within the United States patriots who are just, always retweeting Nick Fuentes. There's a supplemental signal boosting going on.
Okay. Well, I mean, I'm inclined to believe you, but I think there's a few too many holes in this one for me to be able to say 100% that this is confirmed. Elon Musk, he defeated the bots. He says he put up paywalls. He added verified checks. I mean, if your report is true, it means that X is a security sieve, right? So are these alleged bots sophisticated enough to bypass Elon's verification system, or is X simply looking the other way?
So again, we don't know if they're bots. These could just be users in other countries that are coordinating to some degree. So we don't know if it's completely automated or not. But I mean, there is some degree that things could be gamed. I mean, you can buy blue checks. A lot of the people who are boosting these things don't have blue checks, but I think X is probably gameable to a large degree, even if a lot of the bots that we're getting in our DMs and sort of the general reply guy bots that are posting, crypto scams and stuff, those are being suppressed by, I think, Elon in a pretty good way. But it's probably much more difficult to test the signal of the type of bots who would just be out there retweeting someone like Nick Fuentes.
So the allegations basically claim that his entire, or at least the majority of his political weight, is fraudulent. Have you reached out to Fuentes for comment? I mean, have they provided any internal analytics to refute their numbers? They'll say things like, look at all these people on a Rumble stream, or views of the interview that he did with Piers Morgan, for example. So, I mean, have there been any attempts to refute this data?
I haven't seen Fuentes specifically actually refute the data. He just pointed to ADL and Soros and funding sources in a way to try to dismiss the entire report. I would love for him to try to, actually go after the numbers and claim why he thinks the numbers are incorrect. That would be, I think, welcome by the people who designed the study. And again, I'm not the one who created the study. I'm just sort of the person who broke the news on it. I think more information would be better. If Nick has a way to refute this, I think he should actually do that, attack the substance of the report rather than just the funding, totally acknowledging that funding isn't something that should always be totally ignored in any report.
Sure. So if you strip away, let's say that the report is correct and that 60% of this interaction or this engagement is bots. So what is left? I mean, is the America First movement a ghost town? I mean, there's still a core of people who are hiding behind the machines. So what would you say if you were to look at this from the macro perspective? How would you describe, if this movement is truly what it is, how do you particularly see it? What do you think that this movement is truly made up of? Who are the actual actors in this?
I think it's in large part real Americans who are sort of part of this dissident right, disaffected part, who are genuine fans of Nick Fuentes. Again, the report isn't saying that every time you see Nick Fuentes go viral, this is inorganic. We think he does have a very rabid fan base. The point of the report isn't to say that it's totally fabricated and just, there's no there. The point is that there does appear to be a lot of supplemental signal boosting going on that makes, what is just, this fringe figure who has a rabid fan base, it makes him seem outsized and sort of omnipresent, where he wouldn't be quite as big and influential without sort of this other boosting, pushing him over the line into the mainstream to make it look like, this person is just, such an influential figure. We're going to get him profile pieces in the New York Times and at the Atlantic. But then again, this turns into real or organic viewership eventually. So there's a successful turnover rate of the manipulated views to real organic views. Now a lot of people do view him as this major figure, and so that's sort of the trick that was played.
Well, how do you see it though, Colin? I mean, like where because he is getting some support from Americans. So where do you think it's coming from? What do you think is motivating it?
I think there's a lot of motivations that I would probably agree with. I mean, people look at the younger generation, they have, unaffordability of housing. They see the massive migration crisis that we're having. There's all kinds of reasons why younger people, I think, have sort of had enough with the system, and they want to criticize the way that we're handling a lot of our immigration policies and just foreign affairs in general. I think this has been misdirected. I think Nick Fuentes is probably giving them a lot of bad ideas. He's a bad outlet for a lot of their frustrations. I think there's probably more beneficial and more sane ways you can engage with some of the same issues that Nick Fuentes is commenting on. I just think there's a lot of anger, and he seems to just be this repository of that anger rather than actually, thinking about ways you can constructively address some of these issues in the country. So,
well, I'll tell you though, one thing that he makes a lot of sense on is when he talks about Candace Owens. I think he's absolutely right about her.
Yeah, I mean that's the danger too, is because he has so many like actual points that he's making that are real, but then it's kind of supplemented by this strange racist anti-Semitism thing going on. But then he's also like, he's an intelligent person and he's genuinely funny too. So I'm not surprised one bit that he has such a large following online and a rabid fan base. He's an entertaining person to watch. I just wish there wasn't such a toxic side to him as well.
Yeah, no, I agree. Actually, he interviewed me way back in 2016 when we were both much younger, and at the time he was Ted Cruz supporting young conservative man, and I really saw a lot of potential in him. But something happened along the way that I think really just a lot of darkness entered his heart, and he felt as if he had gotten screwed or a bad lot in life. I think he blamed Ben Shapiro for a lot of this. And I've tried to trace back the moment when he flipped and became sort of the Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde that he's become today. I think, part of it is clout chasing, right? We all want an audience. Like, wouldn't we all love to have, 50,000 people tuning into our live streams when we have podcasts and we dwell in these digital worlds? Some of the hatred against Nick Fuentes is pure jealousy. A lot of people trying to emulate him. You're absolutely right that he is funny. But I think that something happened to him that jaded him and turned him cynical against society, and now he's got a bone to pick. And it shows is a loss of potential. And the young men that follow him down the path. I was thinking about this last night as I was reading the report, Colin, and prepping for our interview. And I don't mean this just as a dig, but it really does strike me a lot of this Groyperism as fatherless behavior. I do a lot of volunteering in my community with young people, and I interact with a lot of young men who don't have good fathers. And I see that same angst that builds up in them, which just goes to show how important a community is, and how the fact that our society is so atomized due to social media, and we're not meeting up in person, and the young people aren't getting drunk and having sex like we used to back in the 1980s and the 1990s at college. So something is warped in our society that has sort of created the toxic brew for the rise of these young men and their fatherless behavior. Would you say that am I barking up the wrong tree here, or would you suggest that maybe I've got a point?
No, I think you're right on. I think that's definitely something that's going on. I think a lot of that came out in the interview with Piers Morgan too. I mean, I felt bad for this person in a way. He seems very, very isolated. Sort of this incel type individual. And let's be honest. I think that the way that he was treated, especially being debanked, being kicked off every social media platform, I think that was actually terrible. And I think that didn't help the situation at all, because you get this individual who's, says some terrible things. He gets banished off all social media platforms. He was probably the most thoroughly canceled person in the world. And then so where does he turn to? He turns into this insular community. He gets more and more extreme because he's not a part of the mainstream. He doesn't feel like he has any road back to the mainstream whatsoever. And so he's kind of trapped now. I mean, I don't know if he's still debanked. I think he mentioned that he might have been. But what's the road back for Nick Fuentes at this point? If he genuinely had a change of heart in these things and isn't just trying to sort of appeal more to mainstream people while still hiding some of his toxic views, I don't think that people are going to accept his genuine change of heart. He's locked himself into this toxic community, and the only way he can get money now is from pandering to this toxic community. And so. Yeah. It's a really bad situation for him. He's got no way back, apparently. And he's desperately trying to get more and more mainstream.
I don't want to. Yeah, I don't want to suggest that there's no salvation or no redemption. I mean, you and I were both not Christians, but I do believe in the concept that anybody can be saved if they come back and they atone for their sins. But it has to be done on this earth because it's not going to happen in the afterlife, in my opinion. Colin, is there anything else of this story that you think that we've missed that's important? Anything that you'd like to share, or perhaps just a good old-fashioned plug before we let you go?
So I guess if you want to follow any of my stuff, I wrote this report on my Substack. It's realityslaststand.com. And I think that, one major takeaway is that, this report specifically is about Nick Fuentes and the manipulation and the signal boosting. But if this was able to happen with someone like Nick Fuentes so easily, potentially cheaply, and smoothly, this signal boosting that turned fake engagement into real engagement, this can happen to anyone. So we should probably be on the lookout to see, what other figures are going to maybe be trying to do the same playbook to get this outsized boost and get put into the national conversation when maybe they really don't deserve to be.
Okay, there it is. Colin, I'm going to go into that report a little bit deeper today, and I'm grateful for you presenting it to us, and I look forward to hearing some updates from you. I don't know if you celebrate, but I certainly do, even though I'm not religious. Merry Christmas to you, and to all your family and friends. Happy Hanukkah as well. Have a good one, Colin.
I love Christmas. Merry Christmas. Thank you.
Me too. Merry Christmas. Thank you very much. All right, who's ready to play the great Grift Off Liberty Loot Live? It's time for us to play a little game. You've got a real chance to win real prizes from the Grift Shop if you sign into the website that you see on your screen right now. We're all going to play a little game. It's called Misquoted. And you sign in on your phone or on a laptop or wherever you like. And go to crowdparty.app, type that code in, and everybody needs to get in the game. We can have up to 50 players. Everybody who's watching us live right now can play, and we're playing for real prizes. Head on over to crowdparty.app. That's crowdparty.app. You can also take a picture of that QR code that you see on the screen, and that'll take you directly into the game. Otherwise, all you got to do is go over to crowdparty.app. That's crowdparty.app. We're all going to play a little game. It's going to be a game show. It's going to be fun. We're going to listen to a little 1960s Christmas music while we play it. It's going to be really fun. And we can take up to 50 players. So here's how this works. Once I hit the Squid Game button, once I hit the Squid Game countdown button, you'll have 30 seconds to get in the game. All right, once I hit the Squid Game button, you'll have 30 seconds to log in to crowdparty.app. That's crowdparty.app. We're going to play a game. Everybody's playing against each other, and everybody's competing for real prizes, okay? And everybody who plays is going to be a winner. If you win first prize, you win a big, fat gift certificate from the Liberty Shop. Everybody who plays is going to win something, though. So let's play the game at crowdparty.app. That's crowdparty.app. We've got 6 out of 50 players. Everybody who wants to play can play. I'm going to press the Squid Game button, which means you have 30 seconds to get in the game, 30 seconds to play right now. Head on over to crowdparty.app if you want to join the game. Type in the code 20193. That's 20193. Everybody who plays is going to be a winner, but one person is going to be a grand prize winner. Type in that code, and we're going to play Misquoted. Let's go. He's got a team's call at 10. And we're starting the game in 2, 1, 0, start. Here we go. Let's play. The way to get started is to quit talking and begin doing. Was it Walt Disney or was it Rick Sanchez? Walt Disney. 4 people got it right. Remember, the person who gets the answer the fastest gets the most points. Next round. Siggy's mom, number 1. Peen, number 2. St. Selma, number 3. Not everything is a lesson. Sometimes you just fail. Gary Vaynerchuk or Dwight K. Schrute. It's something you wouldn't recognize. It's called love. Was it Ricky Gervais or Kamaji? It's something you wouldn't recognize. It's called love. Who said it? Glad Steffi's enjoying the music. This is Christmas Mai Tais. Oh, I love the little mini games because it kind of throws a wrench and everything. You think that somebody's going to be a winner, but then it's like they got the green light and then Ashley Ann pops up to the top. Okay, leader. Oh, Siggy's mom still feeling strong. Number 2, Peen. Number 3, Andy Opperman. Round 5 of 12. I wasn't just being thrown to the wolves. I was being fed to the wolves. Was it Velma Dinkley or was it Meghan Markle? Do 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 do. Meghan Markle. Most of you got that right. Siggy's. She wants to win so bad. She's not going to let anybody take her prize home. You can't change who you are, but you can change what you have in your head. You can refresh what you're thinking about. You can put some fresh air in your brain. Sheldon Cooper or Sarah Silverman. Ooh, Ashley Ann. She's fighting it out for number 1. All toasters toast toast. Was it Mario or was it Seth Rogen? Was it Mario or was it Seth Rogen? All toasters toast toast. It was Mario. Siggy. You just knocked Ashley Ann down into 4th place. The only true wisdom is knowing you know nothing. Was it Socrates or was it House? The only true wisdom is in knowing you know nothing. Was it Socrates or was it House? You can't keep blaming yourself. Just blame yourself once and move on. Was it Homer Simpson or was it Joe Rogan? Siggy and Peen, man, you guys are fighting it out. Okay, you just received a gift. Will you accept the gift? You can accept the gift or you can reject the gift. It can give you points or it can take points away. It's 50-50. What's the odds here? 50-50 chance. If you accepted it, you got 50 points. I'm not a girl, not yet a woman. Was it Britney Spears or was it Snow White? I'm not a girl, not yet a woman. I'm ashamed to say I know that quote. Britney Spears, of course. Of course it was Britney Spears. Last round, here we go. Hey, I don't appreciate your lack of sarcasm. Dolly Parton or Louise Belcher? Hey, I don't appreciate your sarcasm. Was it Dolly Parton or was it Louise Belcher? Here we go. Last question. Louise Belcher. Most of you got it right. Dang. Game over. Who's the winner? Siggy's. Congratulations, Siggy's. Here's how this works. You got to send us a text to claim your prize. Let us know who you is. We'll send you your $25 gift card to the Grift Shop. Peen, Ashley Ann, Fuentes, Daju, St. Selma, Andy Opperman, Damian, Quest, Relaxium, David Lee, and everybody else who played. You all get $5 gift cards to the shop. So if you want to claim your gift card, send a text to that phone number letting us know what your name was in the game. So like Relaxium, Quest, Ashley Ann. You want your $5 gift card? Send us a text, 573-319-1586. And of course, Siggy's mom, she gets that sweet, sweet $25 gift card. Thanks so much for playing. And to everyone who watched us today for the very first time, click follow before you leave. And thank you for keeping opening mind. It looks like we may have won over somebody in the chat who came in here this morning and is not going to be pleased with our topics of discussion. But I think you'll see that we're a friendly, healthy, fun community. As long as we can all agree socialism sucks, then we can all be friends. Speaking of, this Socialism Sucks t-shirt can be underneath the Christmas tree by December 25th. So if you want to do your shopping at the Grift Shop and not give all your money to Jeff Bezos, guys, here's what I say you need to do. You need to do your Christmas shopping today. You got to get all of your Christmas shopping in today in order for it to arrive in time for the holidays. Visit forlibertyshop.com. That's the number 4libertyshop.com. It's the last day for guaranteed Christmas arrival. Don't be that guy who orders tomorrow and is like, Austin, where's my delivery? You should be drinking Founding Flavors coffee on Christmas morning. Our Jeffersonian Java is the tits. The tits now. I mean, let it snow. Sorry, let it snow. Not whatever, Trebek, your mother's a whore. Founding Flavors coffee, it's the best coffee in the world, and you're supporting a small family-owned business. Head over to forlibertyshop.com, buy a box today. Here's what I recommend. I know you're going to be like, there's so many choices. What do? I don't know what to get. Should I get the Martha's Mint? Should I get Electric Elixir? It's too many choices, Austin. I've made it easy for you. Go to the Founding Flavors coffee page, scroll down. AP for Liberty's favorite coffees. Choose ground or whole bean. You want them all ground? Select all ground. Add to cart and check out. I made it so easy for you guys. Buy a bundle and save money at forlibertyshop.com. If you've purchased from us before and you haven't written your review, naughty. We need those reviews to help to grow the Grift Shop, to grow the For Liberty Network. Thank you to everyone who helped unlock the bonus content today. I'm so grateful for all of your financial contributions and otherwise. Some of you are going to be getting phone calls from us in the coming days. Some of you are going to be getting Christmas cards from us in the coming days. So keep an eye out for those in the mail. We love you guys. Thank you. Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah. And a Happy New Year. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Oh, wait, tonight, Culturama. Don't forget, Daniela Pensack, rumble.com/Culturama. And we'll see you guys tonight.
Ayn Rand denounced the FCC's public interest censorship more than 60 years ago. In her 1962 essay, Have Gun, Will Nudge, Rand foresaw how government officials would seek to silence people they don't like. After Jimmy Kimmel delivered a misinformed monologue about the assassination of Charlie Kirk, Federal Communications Commission, FCC, Chair Brendan Carr pressured broadcast channels to take the comedian off the air. Carr faced immediate pushback, Republican sends. Rand Paul of Kentucky, Ted Cruz of Texas, and Dave McCormick of Pennsylvania all chastised Carr for trying to use his position to steer private companies' editorial decisions, a serious breach of free speech principles. Carr is not without his defenders, however. Nathan Lemur, tech policy writer and one-time advisor to former FCC Chair Ajit Pai, asserts that Carr's actions fall squarely within his duty to promote the public interest on television, as defined by the Communications Act of 1934. He also assails libertarians in particular for not caring about how the FCC works, and he suggests that such skeptics are incorrectly or selectively railing against the public interest standard in the Kimmel case. But fans of the free market have been warning that broad interpretations of the public interest standard will empower the FCC to engage in censorship for over 60 years. Just read Ayn Rand. In 1962, Rand penned a prophetic warning about the public interest standard, which then FCC Chair Newton N. Minow was citing, to justify pressuring television companies to create more educational programming. Minow famously railed against a supposedly vast wasteland of shoddy television shows, and he claimed that the FCC's charter empowered him to push for editorial changes to the medium that would align with his view of the public interest. "You must provide a wider range of choices, more diversity, more alternatives," said Minow in his well-remembered 1961 speech. "It is not enough to cater to the nation's whims. You must also serve the nation's needs." Minow repeatedly claimed that he was not in favor of government censorship and was not trying to tell broadcasters what they could and could not say. Rather, he charged them to make nebulous and ill-defined improvements to the product that he believed would be better appreciated by the American public, i.e., the public interest. In her March 1962 essay, Have Gun, Will Nudge, Rand argued that this was censorship by another name. It is true, as Mr. Minow assures us, that he does not propose to establish censorship. What he proposes is much worse, she wrote. Unlike explicit bans on speech, Rand warned, the modern method of censorship neither forbids nor permits anything. It never defines or specifies. It merely delivers men's lives, fortunes, careers, ambitions into the arbitrary power of a bureaucrat who can reward or punish at whim. This strong arming, she argued, spares the bureaucrat from rules or standards and instead places upon the victims the burden of discovering how to please him, with a fluid unknowable as their only guide. She even imagined how such influence could play out in practice. A federal commissioner may never utter a single word for or against any program. But what do you suppose will happen, Rand asked, if and when, with or without his knowledge, a third assistant or a second cousin, or just a nameless friend from Washington, whispers to a television executive that the commissioner does not like producer X, or does not approve of writer Y, or takes a great interest in the career of starlet Z, or is anxious to advance the cause of the United Nations. The title of the essay was inspired by Rand's contention that a man who holds a gun to your head and demands your wallet is surely deploying impermissible force rather than mere encouragement. When the FCC chair proclaims that a private company can do this the easy way or the hard way, he is providing a similar kind of nudge. What makes it possible to bring a free country down to such a level? Rand asked. If you doubt the connection between altruism and statism, I suggest that you count how many times, in the current articles, speeches, debates, and hearings, there appeared the magic formula which makes all such outrages possible: the public interest.
Are you tired of the strange radioactive effects of leftist culture? Do you ever wonder what happened to good old-fashioned American values? Well, fear no more, because there's a new force fighting back against the cultural rot of today. Introducing Culturama, a right-of-center talk show that's taking back the future today. Hosted by none other than blonde bombshell herself, Daniela Pensack. She's not just talking, she's taking culture back. With sharp takes, brilliant guests, and a few surprises along the way. Tune in to the live video podcast twice a week, because the future doesn't have to be weird. It can be Culturama.